Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Critical and welcome back to episode 2 of Minecraft Bedrock Edition. So some exciting things planned for today. First things first, I gathered an elytra off camera. I went to the end and was able to collect a new one after we had lost our previous ones. So I've got that here. And one issue that I had was when I went to the end, we haven't actually killed the dragon yet. So when we go to the end to gather materials, I just have to jump into the void. So I put all my stuff in the ender chest. But I got back and realized there was no ender chest. There were no ender chests across the entire server. So I've got a couple in my inventory that I've collected, but we're gonna go gather some obsidian and make some more ender chests and then go scatter those around the server. And with that done, that marks a total of, I believe, if my math is correct, 15 or 16 ender chests. I think 15 ender chests scattered across the entire server now. So I've put them all across spawn, all across the island and everything over here, and as well as at the pit and the harbor and a couple of the other far out places, just so that no matter where we go, we will always have access to our ender chest, as well as putting a couple on me because I tend to forget them all over the place. But one thing that we need to do, and I'm actually realizing that I may have gone about this wrong, we need to enchant this elytra that I just gathered. So I've got an unbreaking, but I don't have a mending, so we're going to need to go grab one of those. But I'm going to need, and as a matter of fact, you know what? Let's fly our way over. I need to buy a mending from my mending villager, and I don't think I mentioned this before, but wow, that was incredible. I was able to fly that whole thing. Oh, he's asleep, and I don't have my emeralds out actually, so I need to go get those. Let's sleep real quick so he can wake up. I have a couple of villagers stored here. This little fenced-in area over here where the zombies at, there's like 10 or so in there, and then I've got my special guy up there with the mending books. Let's see. So I just need to get a mending book from him real quick, and they are 20 emeralds and a book. Now I don't know if I actually have any books crafted, but I can make one real quick with the reed farm over here. So anyways, the plan for today, other than just getting this elytra set up, is to make a shop. So we don't really have any shops set up on the server at the moment. There hasn't really been anything that we've needed to set up so far, but I got the idea that because of how many levels I get from the gold farm, and we've now got pretty much infinite paper and everything, I was thinking it'd be kind of cool to set up an enchanted bookshop. And of course we can sell like the ones that we get from the villagers and stuff as well for a little bit higher prices. But I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing. I don't know that it'll get very much use, but it'll give me a reason to get rid of my enchantment levels, because whenever I AFK at the gold farm, I end up getting like a ton. So I think it'd be a good way to kind of auction those off, sort of. I don't think we're going to be doing it for diamonds, because diamonds, I mean, they're a fun currency. A lot of servers use them. I know that Hermitcraft uses diamonds as their main source of currency, but for me at least, when I make a shop, I want it to be giving me something that I actually desperately need, and diamonds are not on that list. I have plenty of those. I'd actually like to go for iron and lapis as two possible trades. I'm thinking kind of having a co-deal where you can either pay in lapis or iron. Is the plan. But I figured this would be a good opportunity here with me enchanting the elytra to show you guys how this farm works. So it's rather loud, so I'm actually going to turn the sounds way down, down to pretty much 0. So the way this works is you stand in the center here. There's some elytras, not elytras, sorry. There's some tridents on the sides. And when you stand here, flip this lever, the portals will start blinking, and this, as you can see, spawns tons of pigmen. I don't exactly understand why this works. It's something to do with the tick speed and how many pigmen will spawn per tick based on a new portal being lit. But anyways, they channel down in here, and then we flip the lever here. And this is the loud part. You can hear all the pigmen dying. But this gets us a ton of stuff, and if I'm holding a looting sword, it actually does increase the loot of each drop, so we'll get a lot more gold if I'm holding a looting sword. I'm not sure how much I need. I'm going to assume probably close to 30. If I move around, I tend to find that that's a little better, but like I pick up more XP, but I think it eventually all finds its way to me. Anyways, so yeah, this farm is super quick. I mean, as you can see, we're already from, I think I was like level 5 or something. Maybe not. I could be wrong about that. But we are already at level 20, so this is a pretty great farm. But I'm going to AFK here for a second and go ahead and enchant this elytra, and then we're going to head over to spawn and choose an area that we're going to be building our new shop in. Alright, so we are now over at spawn. I got my elytra all enchanted up. I'm breaking 3, mending 1. Let's go to sleep real quick because it's actually turning night here. So we're over at spawn. I don't have the build planned out or anything yet, or the materials gathered, but I wanted to take a look and decide where we want to build this thing. Now, originally I was thinking off over this direction somewhere, or perhaps over here somewhere, because I wasn't really sure. There's not a whole lot of space. But then Austin suggested that we, because I mentioned to him that I was going to be building a shop, and we don't really have any shops set up yet, as I mentioned, so this is kind of a new thing we're doing. He suggested building it over near the harbor, since that's kind of like our imports area, and it would be kind of a cool idea to have any shops we're constructing over in that direction. So we're going to head over there. Now, the harbor itself is a group project, so myself, Austin, and Trent will all be building anything that's built there like together. It's not really something that we come over and work on individually. So I'm not going to be building right at the harbor. Like I'm not going to be building along the front here, because that's where the main row of buildings is going to go. Is kind of off over this direction. But I was thinking, I came over and scouted this area out. Back over here might be kind of nice, because we have this huge like flat mountain. Like this goes back probably 200 blocks or so. And another 100 or so that direction, I think. Here, let's see, we'll head off this way for a bit. Yeah, we've actually come up to a flower forest, but I would say this is a good 200 blocks or so before we hit that point. And it goes pretty far back as well. So I think having our shopping district kind of up here might be a pretty cool idea. And obviously, there's lots of like vertical space and stuff if we wanted to build any like other shops after, if we were ever to fill up this whole area. I mean, we have plenty of space around to continue. So I think this is where we're going to do it. And I think I'm going to settle for this little spot right over here up against this small mountainside over here. Just because it's already relatively flat, and I think it would be nice to have a building here. And I think we should kind of work our way in that direction. Like I think we should start at the front here. So my building will probably sit about here. And as I said, building size probably no bigger than like this space. We'll have to see. I'm going to have to take a look at how many things we have to fit in here, because I'd like to have every type of book available in this shop. As well as a couple other unique items. So I'm going to have to take a look at what all the materials we're going to have in here are, as well as how I want to lay the whole thing out and build materials before we actually get started building and everything. But if we head over here, we actually have a build palette set up for the harbor. Now, I'm going to deviate from this build palette a little bit because I want each of the area over by the harbor, I think, should have a consistent theme. I think it should have all these blocks. However, when we're getting into the actual shops back here, I think we should have each one be unique. Like, I don't think it should look like one, you know, continuous, just flat kind of build. Because you want to add some other colors and stuff in. So base materials, we are going to be using these blocks right here, as well as anything else that we've added in, lanterns, and I think we're using some other wood types and such. My mouse is freaking out. Actually, it's not moving now. Oh, that's weird. Okay, let's fix that in a second. But I'm also going to be adding onto this block palette. We're going to be using the style I'm trying to go for is like a fantasy style. And when I think fantasy, I always think like purple. Purple usually comes to mind, some blues, and lots of brighter colors, you know, like, unless you're going castle fantasy, but I'm thinking more magical fantasy for this. Since we're doing like enchanted books, I think it should have kind of an enchanted look to it. So I'm going to be gathering a bunch of different materials, try to gather some unique stuff that we can throw in there. And once I've kind of gathered up a full block palette, we'll go out together and gather all the different materials we need and then start planning this guy out. So here are the materials that I've chosen for the build. Now these may not all get used. This is just kind of the initial palette that I've set up. I give myself a lot of options for different things to use to build with. I can tell right off the bat these lighter pinks are much too, maybe even this one as well, are much too pale for the style that I'm going for. So those probably won't get a lot of use. And stuff like the gold or the glass, that may be scarce. The brick may be scarce, but this is kind of the theme that I want to go with, the kind of style and palette that I want to use. Now, I have a lot of some of these. Like, I've got plenty of sandstone, stone brick, probably got plenty of like oak wood and stuff. But stuff like the bricks and the terracotta and the concrete, I'm going to need to go gather a lot more of, as well as possibly some more obsidian. And I'm going to have to farm some of the purple. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and set up a little farm upstairs for that. I believe I have some. Yes, got some here. I don't know if you can bone meal this stuff. This will actually be a pretty good test. Let's try and bone meal some of this. Let's see if you can do it. Because I know like there's some stuff in this version that you can bone meal that you can't do in Java. Like you can bone meal sugarcane here, whereas you can't do that in the base game. But let's see if bone meal works on this. I'm gonna guess because it's end. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna guess because it's an end material that it's not gonna be able to. But I'm gonna go ahead and scatter these about. Kind of let these all grow up. See if they'll. Oh, they grow pretty quick actually. This shouldn't be too bad. That one over there already popped up one. Try to get a bunch of these going, and hopefully we'll be able to. Yeah, look at that. They're growing pretty quick. Hopefully we'll be able to get a lot of this stuff. This is one of the materials I shouldn't need too much of. I should be fine with just setting up these and harvesting them really once. As for the other materials, we're going to have to go a couple of places to get them. I'm going to have to go harvest some clay for the bricks, some terracotta for the purple terracotta from the mesa. There's actually a mesa right off over in that direction, not too far from here, maybe 1,000 blocks. And I'm going to need to harvest a lot of dark oak and spruce wood as well. So I think we're going to have a bit of like a resource gathering montage here as I try to collect a lot of this stuff and hopefully get everything that we need for this build. And then, yeah, I'm going to try to fill all 6 of these shulker boxes with materials, and then we should be good to go. Once I've got all of those in. Whoops, I meant to put those back. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and hop on that, and then we will head over to the shopping district and start kind of mapping out our build here. Right, so I have successfully gathered all the materials, as you saw in our little montage right there. I'll go ahead and go through, open up each of these just so you can see kind of what we're working with here. I doubt I'll use most of these materials. I just went ahead and grabbed enough that hopefully we won't have to go back and gather anything else. Hopefully there should be enough here for us to cover the entirety of this build. But we're going to start off by actually doing an outline of what we want to build and kind of going through. I'm going to give a brief explanation of like everything that I want in here. So we're going to be selling books, obviously, all the different types of books. I have yet to go through, like I mentioned last time, I've yet to go through and actually make a list of how many there are. But we shouldn't have a problem fitting them all in here. And I just want to make sure real quick that I brought my bookshelves over because I realized, yeah, I did. Okay. I made some. I wasn't sure if I put them in there. But as well as having all the books kind of laid out in here, I also want to have a tower off to the side that goes up an extra story or two with an enchanting table at the top and everything that people can potentially enchant their own stuff. It's more for decoration than actual use. But I think it'd be kind of cool. So basically, I'll make a little version of it here. We're going to have a tower off to this side. And then over here, we're going to have a building. Not a massive building, but big enough to fit our actual thing in. And this tower will go much higher. Probably 1.5 to 2 times as high as the main structure here. So that's kind of the design that I want to go for. Obviously, the entrance will be somewhere around here, maybe off to the side here, actually. And then we'll have all of our books and everything in here, and then some sort of entrance off into the tower where you can go up into there. But that's kind of the plan. So I want to lay this out real quick and kind of start getting a design for how we're going to build this. So I want to start off by just building the outline. Now the tower, I don't want it to be too large. Like I don't want it to be like a castle turret or anything crazy like that. We're just going to kind of start in a random place here as well. I'm actually going to try to go up above. I'm going to try to start it about here just so that I can get, well, we'll build the actual layout here at this height so that I can actually lay it over the terrain. It only needs to be big enough to fit an enchanting table. So if that's the case, we really only need we could really get away with a curve like this, and this would be a big enough of a tower. We're going to go slightly larger than that, just for the sake of adding a little bit of detail and stuff to the build. And we're going to go with, I think, probably this. This size here. So our tower here will look a bit like this. And obviously, these lines may not be the same as they are when we actually get the thing built. I've got to get the whole thing in place to be able to see how this is actually going to look. But that's kind of the size I'm hoping to go for the tower. And then I want the building to come off of probably here and here. Because that'll give us enough room to have an opening there and not interfere too much with the walls of the tower. So let's go about, let's see, let's go back first. So how far is this? 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I want to try to go back to this, whoops, to this mountain over here. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, maybe we go with 20 by 10, maybe? Seems like a pretty good thing. I know those are even numbers, but I want to try to challenge myself to build with even numbers a lot more. I've been trying to do that this season, or this world, I should say. Most of my nether builds and stuff are even numbers, so 8, 9, 10. You know what? That's not quite, I don't think that's quite wide enough. Maybe we do go odd. I'm gonna go back on what I literally just said. We're actually gonna go 15. by 21. If one side's an even number, I want both sides to be. I think 15 is a good number for this way. So 6. Oops. Oh dear. That should be 9. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then back this way. And we'll fly up and see how much of a view or what that looks like from above as far as a foot space goes. Okay, so let's get up there. Fly it pretty high and kind of look down on that. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty decent size. I may make the tower a little bit bigger to compensate for it, or push it back slightly maybe. But this is definitely a good size for the actual building. Maybe for this we go a little bigger and we'll trying to think how this would work. If no, you'd actually want, if you're going that big, you're gonna need to go back, I think 2 more. Let's see. I've got kind of a size in my head. I'm trying to figure out how to adjust this current circle to the new size. So if I went 2 and then 2, and then that would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Okay, so that would be like this, and then 3. Then we go 2. So something along the lines of that size instead. And I guess on the corners here we could just leave it as a 2, or we could do kind of that design there. But I'm thinking closer to that size for the tower with how big I actually need the building to be. The tower may need to be a little larger as well. But I think that should be good for size. So let's start working out kind of the like arrangement of the block palette. And I'll kind of show you guys what I want to do there, and then I'll probably do a couple of progress updates going through and trying to get some of this built up so you guys can kind of see a larger view of what I'm going for here. So I wanted to try and do something along the lines of this, and I'll make a quick mock-up off to the side over here to kind of show you guys. Let's see, where's my stone brick? It's going to look rough in this view because it's going to be kind of hard to explain what I'm going for. But once I get it built up, it should become a little clearer. That's probably good for now. So I'm thinking something like we have kind of a sandstone base, maybe with a bit of quartz mixed in, just kind of like light colors on the base with some darker wood, not necessarily this color wood, but some darker wood as kind of like supports going up. I don't know how often or how frequent, but something along those lines. This goes up a couple of blocks, and then there's some sort of stone brick. Again, this is a very rough mock-up. I'm not trying to like build anything fancy here, but we have some sort of like stone brick border to kind of cut off. And then at that point, we do a mixture of planks and one of these types of woods, probably stripped spruce. I think that might look best. Maybe some of the stripped dark oak though we might include. And then at the top for the roof, I wanted to have the roof be mostly purple. So a lot of the purples and stuff we have mixed in, but with a border of possibly brick or purple blocks for the border of the roof. As I said though, I brought a lot of materials over. I want to make this thing look super detailed because with it being the first structure in the area, it may actually end up influencing some of the other builds within this like specific space. So I want to make sure that we do a good job of like making this not only fit the theme of what we're trying to do with the harbor, but also be, you know, something that we want to model the rest of the area after if we decide to use some of these blocks again. So I'm going to take a bit to work out kind of at least the base of this thing and get it up to probably where the actual floor is going to be. Work on the terrain a bit as well. And then I'll bring you guys back in once we're a little closer to starting the interior. All right, so it is a couple days later, actually, of me trying to figure this guy out. I've built quite a few different designs, but I eventually settled on this. So I want to build one section with you guys so that you guys can kind of see how this is going to go. And then I'm probably going to finish at least all the exterior off camera. And then we'll come back and work on the interior once I've gotten the shell of the building finished. But I haven't started the tower yet. The tower will mostly follow the same kind of design though. There's going to be an A-frame roof and then a pointed roof on the tower. And the A-frame roof is going to change colors as it goes up. It's actually going to fade through a couple different purples as it goes up to the top there. But I wanted to build one section of this with you guys just so you guys could kind of get a feel for how this is all put together. And hopefully I have enough materials with me. If I don't, obviously I'll have to get some. But let me grab some of this, some of this. I think I have enough glass. Yeah, I went ahead and made some glass. I was going to use white glass for this build, but I opted to go for purple instead because I felt like it would tie the roof in a little bit better as well. And I need a couple sets of stairs and some slabs. I need to go get more quartz because I'm actually out of quartz. I'm not gonna have enough to do the next pillar. And I think I might be out of purple as well. Yeah, I don't have very much. There's a couple of materials that I've run out of. I need to set up some farms, but we'll go through as much of this as we can here. So first things first is the foundation is entirely sandstone. So I went through, hello. This part probably took me the longest, honestly, because I went for a 4-wide design. I actually need to grab some food real quick. So let's give it a second. Oh, I don't really have any food. Well, I'll take this for now. It's a 4-wide design, which made it really difficult. The other design that I'd worked with was 6-wide when I originally had planned this out, or something like this out, and I had a better layout for this, but I think this is pretty good. I'm happy with how this ended up turning out. But nothing too crazy. It's a pretty simple design. Oh, I don't have any of those slabs. That's why I can't middle click that to get any. It's a pretty simple design, pretty straightforward. Just trying to add a little bit of detail down at the bottom here. And I opted to move the original pillars that I placed out by one. I went around and did pillars on all these things. I don't think that was in the last clip. I went ahead and spaced everything out. But I ended up changing my own design and pushing these out just a bit. I thought it looked a bit better. I originally, I'm going to place these in as well. I originally had put, do I have any spruce wood? Hold on just a second. There we go. Let me get some of that out and let me get a little bit more of this. I originally had the quartz filling this back area, but I decided that it needed a darker block somewhere along the way because I felt like having the quartz be what was up against the wood was a little strange. So instead I opted to go for this kind of the wood kind of fading into one another with just a quartz, like not a shelf, but just like a kind of a molding type thing on the outside to kind of separate those two out. I think that looks pretty good. I was going to put some purple down here, but I think the flags do a better job of kind of adding it as an accent color rather than like a structural color, in my opinion. And I do want to hear what you guys think about this. Let me know. I want to know everyone feels about the color scheme and everything. As I said, fantasies. Oh, the roof's gonna be covered in snow. That's gonna look super cool. I didn't even see that as a thing that was gonna happen, but it is gonna happen. And I'm quite happy with it. As for the windows, I've done something a little strange here. I've gotten rid of some of our floor space. We're gonna be using stone brick on the inside, by the way. I've gotten rid of a little bit of floor space by putting the windows in one, because I thought that right here this looked better if there was an indent rather than the indent going straight into the window. I thought it would look a little better if we had a kind of like a stair slab thing, but because of that, I can't put the glass. Oops, hello. I can't put the glass here because there's obviously a slab there. So instead, break this. Instead, I've just been putting the glass one back. What was that? Oh, there's a raid party over there. And the windows aren't super tall. They're about 3 blocks total because the slabs obviously block off half a block on the top and bottom. So they're just a bit smaller than they'll seem on the inside. On the inside, they're going to look a lot bigger than they actually are. And there will be portions you won't be able to see out. Like obviously you can see here that there's a border there at the top. Now, I've added a lot of detail on this inner part, especially with fences. I used a lot of a lot of different fences all across. You can see they're at all the borders, they're at the tops, holding up the roof, they're inside these little window frames here. And I decided not to light up the bottom here. I think if I did, I'd do it within like any terraforming that we did. But I opted instead to just have the windowsills lit up like this, with these kind of bars. And I feel like that does a good job of tying the white that's around in rather than having like a border. It kind of brings it all together. And let me make one more spruce slab here. And I did say I was going to use a lot of oak in the walls and stuff, but instead I ended up using mostly spruce and just adding these little trapdoors. And those honestly probably would have been spruce or dark oak trapdoors, but I don't like the way either of those look in this particular texture pack. To be fair, I don't like the way dark oak trapdoors look in vanilla. They look like giant chocolate bars. But in this case, I ended up going with oak. And I guess I could have taken a look at birch and seen how that looked. Actually, I do want to take a look at how that looks. What do those look like? I think they're a bit too, they're very pasty. Does that make sense? They look very painted. It doesn't look like it fits in. I don't like it. I'm getting rid of it. Yeah, so there's still a lot to do here. As you can tell, I've got another 2 sections back, and then I think there's 3 across the back. And actually this middle one is 5, not 4. I think we're gonna do something different here though, because I was thinking, since we've got this mountain back here, it'd be kind of cool if there was some sort of like extra exit, like a balcony or something that led up here potentially. But I haven't decided on that. That's not a final thing yet. And that may be something we do in the future, not necessarily right now. But yeah, so that's kind of the design I went with, and I'm out of materials, so I'm not going to go any higher in this clip. But just a pretty detailed thing. I like it a lot. I may have gone overboard with the banners. I think I'll take a couple of those out, probably maybe the magenta ones, and just leave the purple every couple. But I haven't decided on that yet. And if we go way out here, we can see it from the front. I'm going to replace that spruce there with a different material going up. Possibly a lighter material, maybe a lighter stripped wood kind of running back and forth across like giant planks. But I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm going to try to get this whole side done and then start working on the roof once I've built up both halves. But There's going to be a pretty big time gap here because I'm going to try and get, like I said, the rest of this shell finished out. And then when we come back, probably the last thing we'll do this episode is work on the interior. Alright, so I was able to get the shell of the entire building finished up. And I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. We'll take a couple steps back here. Unfortunately, this did take a lot longer than I had originally anticipated. This actually took a couple extra days than I was expecting. And that is partially because I died and lost all my stuff again. I did the same thing I do where I press the pause button and I walk away from my computer forgetting that I'm on a server. And I got killed by a zombie. And by the time I came back, everything was gone. I gotta remember not to do that. But that took up a lot of time doing that, and as well gathering materials and everything, because I didn't have quite enough to get this done, because I went a lot bigger than I was originally going to. But just to give you a quick look, this is what I ended up going with. The tower is a lot smaller than the original design that we blueprinted earlier. It's probably close to half the size. I built the original tower all the way up to about here. And, oh, I missed stone brick on this side. I need to go fix that. I built the entire tower up and then did not like how big it was because I felt like it was dwarfing the actual building. So I ended up rebuilding the entire thing, tearing it down and rebuilding the entire thing. And this is what I ended up doing. And I ended up going with a domed roof up there as opposed to kind of the pointy circus tent type one I was going to go with. Just because I think it looks a little bit better. And I'm just kind of going around checking this out from some different angles. I'm going to get killed by the skeletons. Stop it. When I re-enchanted my sword, it ended up having knockback on it, which is really annoying. But, so yeah, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I think it looks really, really cool. Next episode, we will work on the interior and kind of figuring out what all we want to do with that. It's nighttime. Let's check it out in the daytime. Yeah, I knew you were going to be mad. Let me sleep real quick. We'll check it out in the day. Yeah, next episode we're going to work on a lot of landscaping around the outside. We won't take up too much space with landscaping. I'm thinking maybe 3 blocks out, just because obviously we're going to have another shop like at each point. So we don't want to take up too much area with the landscaping, but yeah, I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. On the inside, we're going to. So the plan that I have for in here, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what we're going to be doing in the next episode, I want to have kind of like some like higher up platforms, like a second story almost, that runs along the edge of the building, and that's where you'll be at with the windows, and then there will be like some ladders or something going up to it or something like that. And then some like giant bookshelves along the sides, I think. And then some more giant bookshelves in the middle that are going to have our actual like books for sale on them somehow with like chests or something. Or potentially barrels or whatever I decide to use. We'll do some cross beaming on the ceiling. Some way to kind of make that look like it's held up a little better. I'll probably do a beam at each of the 3 points rather than the 2 points. So there'll probably be 4 beams running across and then maybe one going across the middle. And then over here, we're going to have an enchanting table, but I may do some floating bookshelf type things over here, as if it's like risen out of the ground or something. Like we may have an imprint of where the enchanting table used to be sitting, and then it's like risen up into the tower a bit, like that. And obviously we got to clean up around here. The windows are kind of just floating. We've got a lot of rough stuff going on down here. So we'll be pulling the walls in a little bit, but it should still be plenty of space to do what we're going to do. But yeah, so that is going to do it for this episode. Hopefully next episode we'll be able to get the entirety of the interior done, and as well whatever little stuff we want to do out here. But yeah, I'm excited by this. It was a struggle to put together, but I think in the end we came up with something pretty good. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I hope that you have all enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.